The 415ers podcast brought to you by the Odyssey Sports Podcast Network with 95.7 The Game. That's Marc Grandi. I'm Evan Giddings. Please download the Odyssey app. Check us out on YouTube and the 95.7 The Game channel and subscribe while you're there. Well, this takes us into our next place, Mark, which is John Lynch's comments from earlier on Monday discussing specifically Trey Lance and kind of the things that it sounds like that you're frustrated with, which is people talking about how Trey Lance needs more opportunity, but then not being given all of the opportunity or not being gifted the opportunity. And let's just hear what John Lynch had to say.
He'll continue to earn these opportunities, and he'll have plenty to show who he is. He can't get enough. There's no doubt about that. But we've got guys who've earned them. And the most important thing, I think back to Brock this time last year, he was only getting about 3-4 a day. He made them count, and when you make them count, you get more. And so I think everybody understands that. We've got a really good group. I like the way that group is progressing and really believe, especially with Brock and the build-up program, there's going to be days where he's not out. There's going to be ample opportunities for each of these guys to show who they are. And it will even get better as we start getting into pads. And then the next step, playing preseason games, preparing for opponents and all that.
So there you go. I mean, he's talking about how Trey Lance can't get enough, but guys have also earned those reps too. So, who is he talking about? He's talking about Sam Darnold. It sounds like Brandon Allen.
Yeah, no, 100%. He says Trey Lance can't get enough of the snaps. There's no doubt about that, but we've got guys who've earned them, and those other two guys, I mean, obviously the obvious one is Brock Purdy has earned the number one reps, and then the other two guys is, Sam Darnold and Brandon Allen, as you said, and that's not even a guess. I mean, we know that. What Kyle Shanahan has said about those two guys, comparing the arc, the trajectory of Sam Darnold's career to Steve Young, a Hall of Fame quarterback, not saying that he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, but just laying that out. Steve Young had a really slow start to his career with a bad stop in Tampa. Sam Darnold had a bad stop in New York and another bad one in Carolina. Why can't he turn it around? He has that potential, is what Shanahan said about Sam Darnold. Shanahan has brought up Brandon Allen off the cuff multiple times, saying, quote, he's earned these reps. What he did in OTAs, he has earned all of these reps. So we know exactly what John Lynch is talking about here. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. You say that he can't get enough. There's no doubt about that. That is a direct quote. He can't get enough, meaning Trey Lance can't get enough snaps, enough reps. There's no doubt about that. But we've got guys who've earned them. So, I mean, I guess my question would be to you, Evan, as John Lynch would go on to say later, there's going to be ample opportunities for each of these guys to show who they are. Do you believe that? The reps that Trey Lance is getting, the reps that Sam Darnold is getting, the reps that Brandon Allen is getting, is that enough for the 49ers to make a fair evaluation on these players? I thought an interesting choice of words was John Lynch saying, again, ample opportunities for each of these guys to show who they are. Essentially, we are using these to figure out what kind of player you are. It wasn't a Trey Lance. He's using these opportunities to progress and to continue to get better. It was he's using these snaps so we can figure out exactly the kind of player you are. Maybe it's enough to determine that, Evan. I just don't think it's enough to continue to progress and to improve all that much. Maybe that's just where the 49ers are at this point. But I don't know. This just seems to go against everything else the 49ers have said from what they want to see out of Trey Lance and how they want to see him progress this offseason.
So you sound like you're stuck between the actions and the words. What was your question again?
So the question is John Lynch saying these guys are going to have ample opportunity for each of these guys to show who they are. Do you believe that? Do you believe that these three other guys, and I mean specifically Trey Lance, is he getting enough for us, for the 49ers, to learn who he is? Do we still need more at this point? Because I feel like I need more.
I mean, yeah, you can never have enough, but like at some point the snaps run out, the reps run out. I wonder how they're going to kind of divvy up this series during preseason games, because I personally don't think that Brock Purdy is going to see much time in preseason, if at all. So maybe that's what he's talking about. Ample time in game, ample time in joint practices. Those are the valuable reps in which you see them go up against other competition. So that remains to be seen. But like, I don't know what people want. Like, I would love to see Trey Lance succeed, but he's already missed essentially 2 years. So you can't just make up that time by giving him every single snap. And from what it appears, he's responded well to that because on Monday, he had a great training camp. He had a great practice in full pads, looked like the best quarterback out there, and is now basically at a position where he has to, in John Lynch's words, stack days. And I imagine if he continues to do that, he will be given more opportunity if it's earned. So we're responding to, yes, the first 5 days of Brandon Allen getting 44 snaps, and that's taken away from Trey Lance. But what if indeed that is what Trey Lance responds to? What if Trey Lance continues to grow and get better? Are people still going to be mad because there's not enough snaps going his way? Even like, I just don't think there will ever be enough for Trey Lance stands to feel comfortable with the opportunities that he has not been given already or that have been taken and stripped from him due to injury. You can't make up lost time. And I don't think the 49ers are doing him at this point a huge disservice by not getting him along with Sam Darnold, who also could be the backup quarterback. Like, I don't think they're doing them wrong at this point.
I don't know. It's tough to say. I guess my question would then be, what is the end game here for the 49ers? I think the end game is relatively simple. It's you want to have your three best quarterbacks on your roster, but the question obviously becomes, what three are those? And based on what we've seen, at least so far, Evan, I don't know. It seems fairly obvious that the 49ers aren't convinced who those three are. It seems pretty clear, very clear, Brock Purdy is the number one at this point, unless there's some setback to Brock Purdy's elbow. And by the way, Cleveland Farrell apparently on Monday, as we're recording this, apparently contacted Brock Purdy's throwing elbow during his throwing motion, and everyone at Niners camp was very scared for a second because it almost looked like a replay of how he hurt his elbow in the first place. He did pass that test, and he's okay. But if there is any sort of setback, seems to be the only way that Brock Purdy isn't this team's starting quarterback week one and beyond. Who is the 2 and the 3 behind him? If you were to ask me that a month ago, I would have very easily said, okay, well, some order of Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. But the way that they're treating Brandon Allen now, this isn't me saying that I think they're wrong. Obviously, they know what they're talking about, but it seems like he's close to on level footing with these other guys. Brandon Allen, that is. It's just absolutely wild that this is where this conversation is going, Evan, because I know that Trey Lance is getting more reps than Brandon Allen. I know
like
that.
Over twice as many.
But everything that the 49ers are, normally your fourth string quarterback is absolutely like nowhere near this level of importance, involvement, discussion on any team. And you have the third overall pick in the draft. And I know we need to just forget about where he was drafted because at this point it holds absolutely no weight in this conversation. But the fact that this is where the conversation is heading, and it seems like there is a legitimate opportunity for Brandon Allen to be on this roster, potentially ahead of Trey Lance, it's absolutely wild. And I'm not saying, again, that the 49ers are wrong in going about it this way. I just think everything that they're doing, their actions, are telling you that they just simply don't have much faith at all in Trey Lance. And it seems like we're getting towards a point where they'll be, again, listening to offers for him. This isn't me saying that I think they're handling this situation wrong, because if Trey Lance is indeed just simply not that good of a quarterback, then this is how you should be doing it. It's just, it's hard for me to believe that is where we're at this point, considering everything that we have been through with this guy and everything they have said about Trey Lance before about a month ago?
I think they're in a position where, from everything we have read, from what we've seen, from what I know you guys went down for a day to training camp and witnessed, Trey Lance is performing at about the same level as Sam Darnold. I believe Trey Lance has a higher ceiling than Sam Darnold. I don't see Brandon Allen as a threat to either of those guys. If Brock Purdy is ready to go week one, I don't believe that Brandon Allen will be on the 53-man roster. What I believe is what you kind of touched on at the top of your your spiel, which was if Brock Purdy gets hurt, then you need three quarterbacks. And I just think that last season, because John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have referenced the NFC Championship multiple times throughout this offseason, even in a training camp, they are a product of their experiences. And if you get a guy that is hurt and his elbow maintains instability, then you need three quarterbacks because you needed four last year. So I just feel like Brandon Allen is the ultimate backup plan at this point. And if he's not needed, he won't be around. Like, I know that doesn't affect Trey Lance having less or more reps than Sam Darnold, and they're jockeying back and forth for the backup quarterback position. But I don't look at Brennan Allen's presence as being, an ultimate indictment on the rest of the guys. I just look at Kyle Shanahan as being afraid of last year happening all over again, but at the beginning of the season as opposed to the very end.
Okay, well, then was another fun question that's been thrown out a number of times, and I know Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch were asked it. I'll ask you. You think the 49ers carry four quarterbacks on their 53-man roster to start the season?
Hell no.
Yeah, of course not.
Hell no. Like, absolutely not. And I know they didn't say that explicitly, but that is not going to happen. You can't do that.
No, I am 100% in agreement with you. Then the conversation is which man is left out. I know the way how you feel. You think it's Brandon Allen because he's not a threat even with the reps that he's getting right now. That's fair. I think I would still handicap it that way myself right now if I had to. But you also start thinking about the 49ers bringing Brandon Allen in for a salary relatively similar to most QB3s around the league, based on what Shanahan has said about Sam Darnold. Again, comparing him to Steve Young, saying he's one of the most talented throwers of the football, not just that he has had, but this entire San Francisco 49ers organization has had. It seems to me that Sam Darnold is a lock to make the roster. Not saying that he's a lock to be the number 2 or anything like that, but it seems to me like he's a lock to make the roster. Obviously, Brock Purdy is a lock to make the roster. All I'm saying is what I am hearing and what I am seeing coming out of Santa Clara, from Brandon Allen's snaps to Kyle Shanahan's comments about both Sam Darnold and Brandon Allen, and to Trey Lance's relative frustration, and you can hear it in what he says and how he talks. And I know he had a fantastic day on Monday, was the best quarterback out there. Still, based on everything that I am hearing, that I am seeing, that I am witnessing, my gut feeling is he's not making this roster because the Niners are going to try to trade him. That's my gut feeling.
And it was reported from Mike Silver, the FSF Chronicle, that the best offer that they got was a 5th-round pick this offseason, which is why he's still on the team.
Yep.
And it's why I expect him to continue to be on the team. All right, you want to make a bet?
Let's make a bet.
All right, 53-man roster, week 1, September 10th, 2023, opener at Pittsburgh. 3 quarterbacks. I'll take Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, and Sam Darnold. You want Brandon Allen?
Sure. I'll take Brandon Allen as my 3.
And Sam Darnold or Trey Lance?
Sam Darnold is the 2.
Okay, we can revisit this. Mark does not believe Trey Lance is going to be on the roster week 1. I do, and that is that.